Classified.
Hello everybody, this is Zero. I'm gonna show you a really short tutorial how to do a very basic toggle for Avatars 3. Before you flip out with the whole update, keep in mind this stuff is very new. There's gonna be probably some little changes, a lot of fixes going on. But yeah, if you're like a little bit overwhelmed with this stuff here, don't worry. It was the same thing for me at the start. That's totally normal. Just go through it one by one. If you follow my steps, it will be fine. And you will be able to eventually, I'm gonna make more tutorials, and eventually you will be able to understand how to set up your stuff and how to make some cool new stuff using Avatars 3. Alright, so I'm gonna show you a very basic, the very start thing, the very first thing to start off as Avatars 3, which is just a little toggle. For me, that's how I started off, that's how I made my stuff at the very beginning, and then from then I continued making more complicated stuff. Alright, so I have everything set up already, as in what I want to activate. It's an object here called flying, allows me to fly around and it spawns some cool wings or whatever. I believe these are animated too. But yeah, that's not really the point of the wings. It's more like I'm just trying to toggle whatever is in here. As you can see, I separate my stuff like this, so I know which one is Avatars 3. Because if I have it set up like that, I can always put it on a different avatar with just a couple of clicks. All this stuff up here is pretty easy to understand. It's the viewpoint, the lip sync, the eye look and stuff like that. But we're not really going to cover this because it's so self-explanatory, you guys should be able to do it. I'm talking about these playable layers. They look normally like this. I'm going to reset them real quick here. They're just like not folded out. You click on customize and then you have all this stuff. So what are these layers, how we do them, how do we use these layers? There's a documentation about them here on the official page of VRChat, the documentation. Reading, yeah, it's a lot of text, but this is like the very basic only on the layers. So if you don't know what these layers do, I suggest reading these because Avatars 3 is so different. But anyway, let's start. So how Avatars 3 works in general, you need, first of all, you have the new circular menu, and you need to add a button. So we're gonna do that. So if you import the new SDK, you can just right click here and go to create, VRChat, avatars, and you can make an expression menu. As you can see, that's the menu. The new circular menu is called expression menu, so there you go. We're just gonna call this tutorial menu, since I already made that. I'm just gonna call tutorial. Alright, so you're gonna have this thing here. It says add control. I'm just gonna click this, and now all this stuff pops up. Most of the stuff is explained, but basically this is the actual button on your menu. So this is the little text that says below the menu, so I'm gonna call this wings, and then it wants an icon. If you don't provide an icon, it just puts a little figure symbol, so good thing I have an icon for this already made here. You don't need to worry about the size you can rescale automatically using the SDK, so yeah, I just made a square PNG that's transparent. And the type, these are the different types we have. They do different things. I suggest just use a toggle for this because I want to click it on and click it, that's off. Button would be only active as long as I click it. It says can hold to activate. So I'm gonna go toggle on and off, when turned on, whatever. And this is the parameter stuff. We're gonna come that in a second. So the button basically only puts a parameter, which is a value, so a number that gets set. Sometimes it's like smooth, like from between 0 and 1, and it's like it has like decimals in between. But for here, we just want the number to switch to a different number. Then we can access these numbers to do our stuff with. So to set up our parameters, we simply also do the same thing again here. Right click, create, VRChat, avatars, but this time we're gonna go parameters, expression parameters. So I'm gonna call this tutorial parameters. So now this stuff pops up. It's like, what is all this? You don't really need it. This is just some basic setup here. I just reset it like this in case. Yeah. See, it even says parameters used the default animation control is optional. So you don't really need to add these, or you can clear these too, I guess. Yeah, you can just click clear here. Anyway, so we want to toggle our wings. So I'm gonna type the name of the parameter we want to trigger. So toggle wings. If you don't know what the parameters are really for, like, okay, what does it do? You will see in a second. That's pretty self-explanatory, in my opinion. Also, all the parameter stuff is case sensitive and everything sensitive. So just keep in mind, I suggest just copying this into like Control-C or right-click copy. Otherwise, you're gonna have a little problem. So what should you set? An int or a float? So int is only full numbers, and float has decimal numbers. So float would be something, let's say, you increase like or decrease your color range or something, and int is be like, that's like fixed steps. So for example, toggling something or going to a different mode, stuff like that. If you don't know what int or integers and floats are, you can look them up. These are normal programming language words for the different kind of values or what the values can contain. Anyway, so we set up our toggle wings. Int, our parameter here. So now we have to attach these real quick, because if I go to the menu, it doesn't show me the parameter we created, as you can see. So you just go to the model, and we go here. Down there it says expressions. You just put the parameters into the parameter and the menu into the menu. Easy as that. Now they're all connected automatically, and if you go to the menu, it should now show our toggle wings. So basically, we have a value that keeps track of our wings and a menu. So we click this. Basically what it does now is it puts this word, toggle wings, to 1. That's all the button does. The button doesn't actually activate the wings. The button itself only activates the parameter. Why is that so cool? Because we can do everything now with that parameter, and it's synced for everybody and late joiners. So if I toggle it once on, it sits on 1, and somebody late joins should be working fine. So now what we have to do is, okay, now we have the value switches around and it's synced. But how do we actually use these? If you used behavior keyframes, you might know a little bit about this. If you know about VRChat animators, you also might have some pre-knowledge for this. So the easiest thing, what we need now is an animator to use it. So we're gonna right click, create, and animation controller. And keep in mind, this is not a VRChat asset, this is just a normal asset. There's tons of tutorials about the controller, how to use it, how to do parameters, stuff like that. Alright, so I'm gonna call this FX layer. Why FX layer? Okay, I'm gonna show you here. In this tutorial, all this stuff is for different kind of humanoid or transforms. So for your body moving or the transform stuff, I'm gonna show what transform is. It's that part here. It's basically a kind of component of every object that keeps track of the position, rotation, and scale. Since you want to toggle something, that's not in here, it's up here, right? So we don't want to have it in a base layer, which is our movement. I don't want to have it in my additive layer, which is stuff on top like ear wiggle. I don't want gesture layer since it's not a gesture, or I want to take over my avatar. And it's not an action layer because the action layer takes over the entire avatar. So as you can see, the FX layer is a special layer. On every layer you should be not be using material animations, shader pro animations, whatever. It says your Y-Zems, everything that isn't a transform. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, cut. FX is a special layer. On every other layer, you should not be using material animations, shader properties, blend shape animations. All of that stuff. It doesn't work. It still works, but doesn't work in the mirror clone. So the mirror doesn't affect it. So that's the reason why I should have it on here, because this is specifically also working for the mirror. If you put it on like gesture, it does work, but not in a mirror. So everything that's not moving stuff around, keep it on a FX layer or effects layer. It even says it here, everything that is not transform or muscle animation should go into FX. So yeah, that's why we use an FX layer. Okay, so an FX layer in here, you go to the tab Animator. If you don't have the tab here, you go to Window and you go Animation and Animator. Alright, so this window, you might know a little bit about it, but this is a stuff in here you do all of the stuff you do for Avatars 3. Also, we will find the word that kind of sounds familiar, parameters. And it says there's no parameter. So we're gonna press the little plus here, and we go int, since, you know, we set it up as an int. And then you just paste in or type the exact way. So now we keep track of the value we set up if we click our menu button, right? So our menu only does this. 1 if it's toggled, and 0 if it's not. That's all the menu does. So now we have to make it, oh, okay, but we should make it that it actually works with the toggle, right? So an easy thing to do is to set it up here. Also the layer, we're just gonna do it in a base layer. Don't worry too much about it. Right now, for this tutorial, it's really not that important. So right click, create state, and we're gonna make an empty state. So why do we need this empty state? I'm just gonna call this like empty or idle or whatever you wanna call it. It's just an idle state that, yeah, it's just, that's where it goes by default. You don't need it for a toggle really, but it always needs one to go to default too. Now we need our state for making our toggle on. So what we should do is make an animation file for toggling our wings. Yeah, that's pretty easy to do. You'll go on here on your avatar. This should not be here, I'm sorry. No, it's very easy. You go here on your avatar, you click your avatar, go to animation, you click create. Also, don't worry, this will put your character into motorcycle pose. And yes, sometimes it can scuff your avatar. In a new update, it should not do that anymore. But in case you're still worried about it, just do a copy like the old ways. But you just go create. I'm gonna call this toggle wings. Oh, you can see that's actually the asset I used myself before, but here, toggle wings. Alright, just click record, and we're gonna go to the flying thing, and we're gonna go checkboxes. So we have a keyframe now. Actually, we don't need more than one keyframe. One keyframe is more than enough. And so I click not record and not preview. That's it, and I'm gonna delete this animator here so I don't go into motorcycle pose again. Alright, now we have the animation that toggles our wings on. We click on our FX layer and we go to the Animator tab again. And then we just right click and create a new state, empty. And this time we're gonna call this toggle wings. And now we need a motion, so the animation actually should play when this gets active. As you can see, it is none right now. We're just gonna click the little circle and type in the name of our animation file. This would be something with wings. Oh, toggle wings, there you go. Easy. So there's different ways to do this, to activate it. I'm not 100% sure if this is the perfect way, if there's a better optimized one, if there's a one that is the correct way, but I know this works fine and it works for me, so I'm gonna do it this way. If you think you have a way better way or something that is cleaner or something, then let me know. But this is very new and I don't think anyone has the best way because there's so many ways to actually trigger our wings. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna right click any state and make a transition. Like you just click transition and you can see it does a little arrow for you. And we click the toggle wings. And then we do the same thing on this one. We click toggle wings, right click, make a transition to exit. So now it goes through there, but we have to do a little condition. And this is where the parameters come in hand. So we're gonna go to this transition here. And you can see we can give it a condition. So this condition, we're gonna give toggle wings if it's equal to 1. That means this gets triggered from any state when toggle wings is set to 1. And remember, menu does nothing more than set it to 1, so this should work fine. And then we know toggle wings, it should activate. And then if you have this transition that goes to exit, goes out, I'm gonna press plus again. And I want if toggle wings is not equals 1. So if it's in any other state than actually the one we want it to be active, then it goes away again and should disable the wings. And then automatically after that it should go to entry, because exit calls entry again, I believe. So yeah, that's actually it. That's all you have to do. You only have to attach, of course, the FX layer. I'm gonna do that real quick. Go Yahi here, go to FX. And I'm gonna drag in our animator, like that. Simple as that. Now if you upload, it should work. Everything is attached correctly. But if you say, I wanna test it, I don't know how this looks, and there's a really easy way to test it. There are some scripts from Liuma, I believe, that simulate the entire thing. But you can test it just with the animator in here, fine. So so you drag the FX layer, you click your avatar, you drag the FX layer in there, boop, like this. And now we're using that FX layer as an example. So, and we're gonna emulate the parameter change, alright? You will see what I mean. Just gonna play, unpause. It should go into this position, that's fine. So now we go to the animate, click on our main object here. We go to the animator tab. And now we can actually control these parameters by hand. So you can actually see what happens. We go to 1, boop, and the wings are active. And we can, let's say we click again on the menu, right, which one makes the value to 0 again. We click 0, and it should go away again. That's all it does. That's all the menu does, is change these values for us. As you can see, it's not always perfectly instant if you fade out. This is because of the transition timing. So if you go to this transition, the easiest thing you can do is just put the transition duration to 0 here, and this one as well. Also, if it has an exit time, we don't want the exit time, so no exit time. Now we can just try it again and see if it's instant now. Okay, so we put this on 1, whoop, instant here, 0, instant gone. Alright, that's nice. Perfect. So that's the very basic. I know it's a little bit longer, and I know there's a lot of stuff that's a little bit unclear with the layers. Read up the documentation about it. It's pretty important for this, since it's new stuff for everybody. We all have to learn it again, huh? So, yeah, I wish you good luck. If you need anything, feel free to write down in the comments. I'm trying to answer that because, you know, the community is not that crazy big, so I can probably answer them. If you really want to talk with other people about it, feel free to join my Discord. It's in the description. And I have more stuff there, some assets, my Patreon, stuff like that. Feel free to support me if you want more of this stuff. And see you next time.